They've kept me locked up here for too long. And for what crime? Eating a succulent Chinese meal? Well, I'm done waiting for parole. Sorry, sweetheart. You've been great, but I'm hitting the road. Prison Architect has many elements that make it a great game, and we are left wondering how much of that magic will make it into the sequel. We've seen gameplay previews of Prison Architect 2, but after years of delay and silence, there's a lot that could have changed since we last saw the game. Regardless of that, Prison Architect 2 needs a few core elements to be a successful sequel, and for the move to 3D to not feel like a gimmick. One of the most important elements of Prison Architect is its ability to embrace mature themes. The original game's contrast between its cartoony look and the violence it portrays is a great strength. The game carries a mature rating, and for good reason. The very first mission of the campaign tasks you with building an execution chamber for a man who caught his wife cheating. The story is told through graphic Polaroids, and the campaign doesn't slow down after this. There's political and financial corruption, gang violence, drugs, guns, stabbings, overdoses, and hostages. These mature themes build the atmosphere and stakes of the game, making the prison feel more alive and providing weight to your decisions. Prison Architect 2 needs to continue with these mature themes. And in the previews, it does look like the prisoners' profiles still contain a wide variety of crimes, which I find encouraging. But after seeing the new art style and reading community discussions, I'm wondering if the level of violence will be toned down. A post from Paradox Interactive has said that there will be blood where fights have occurred, but the previews make me doubtful that this will rise to the level of the bloodbaths that can occur in the first game. The 3D models already look like toys, and it looks like they just lie face down after altercations. We don't yet know what maturity rating the final version of Prison Architect 2 will receive, but I hope the game has not been sanitized for mass appeal and monetization. Further adding to the game's unique character and immersion were the user interface and sound design. Everything was aligned to make you feel like a character in the universe who was responsible for constructing and administering the prison. The reports file had a coffee mug stain on it. Its papers were slightly crinkled and misaligned, and it made the sound of rustling paper when you clicked through it. And an analog clock kept the time. Workers whistled and let out sighs of exhaustion as they carried material. That's not to say that none of these sights or sounds exist in Prison Architect 2, and a lot could have changed since the game was delayed, but from looking at the preview videos, I'm afraid that a lot of this character has been forgotten. The new user interface is clean and easy to read, but it is generic looking, and when the bottom menus are open, they take up far too much vertical space, obscuring the player's view of the prison itself. As for the sound design, most of the gameplay videos have voiceover, so it's hard to hear whether or not all these sounds still exist, but I'm hoping the sequel keeps those immersive sounds. The jingle of keys, the radio chatter, and the sound of a heavy steel door slamming shut, which is exactly what you'll hear when you're thrown in solitary for failure to subscribe. Moving the game from a top-down 2D perspective to 3D brings several concerns, with the first for me being that it needs to be more than a gimmicky change of perspective. The added dimensions need to impact gameplay in meaningful ways rather than just being additional space to stuff prisoners. Escape plans should utilize this third dimension, and what rooms are below or above a prisoner's cell should have an impact, so that putting an armory above or below cells gives the prisoners access to guns. In real-life multi-story prisons, toilet fishing allows inmates in higher cells to pass contraband to lower cells by flushing it down the toilet, where the inmates can retrieve it from the waistline. Another concern with the move to 3D is that it makes it impossible to see all of your prison at a glance, as you will have to cycle through floors to see each one. And for each floor, one thing that I may have missed, but really hope is included, is a button to toggle wall height visibility, letting full walls appear as half or quarter walls to improve visibility across the prison. The move to 3D also leads me to be concerned about the game's performance and the size of the prison. Looking at the original gameplay trailers had many of us concerned with the game's performance, as it looked choppy at times. The performance issues were acknowledged by Paradox Interactive in a post from early 2024 saying, "Our latest tutorials are recorded on an early version of the game 8 months ago, and be sure that performance is now significantly better." They also say that you will be able to house as many inmates as you can build cells for on your plot of land. With multiple expansions to purchase and 4 floors, you will find quite a lot of room available. This is reassuring, and I have to imagine that they've made performance improvements since the game was delayed years ago, but only time will tell. Another concern comes from some features that appear to be absent from the game. While the development focus should primarily be on the single-player experience, it is disappointing to see the absence of the escape mode and multiplayer from release. The first game was released in early access in 2013 and didn't receive escape mode until its full 1.0 release in 2015, and multiplayer came in an update in 2018. But Prison Architect was created by a small indie studio named Introversion Software, which crowdfunded the game's development through pre-orders, so it makes sense that these features were added later. Paradox Interactive is a publicly traded company with a market cap around 1.5 billion, meaning that resources available for day one features are much larger than what a small indie team could afford for an early access release. Previously, the developers confirmed that Prison Architect 2 will launch as a single-player only experience, and I did not see escape mode mentioned. This is disappointing, but it is a lesser concern, as I would prefer the single-player experience to be as good as it can be. There's also the question of whether Prison Architect 2 will use Steam Workshop or Paradox mods for mod distribution. This is one problem that is frequently brought up when discussing City Skylines 2, which, unlike the first game, doesn't use Steam Workshop. Players say that it is harder to search for and install mods on Paradox, and that the Steam Workshop is better integrated with games, and there is more community built around troubleshooting and compatibility notes. With Steam Workshop, mods update automatically in the background, while updates through Paradox mods often require you to launch the game or the Paradox launcher. The Paradox mods platform is not without its benefits, as it allows mods to be accessed by players on consoles and through other PC storefronts like Game Pass or Epic. Given that the game is currently in closed beta after years of delay, all or some of these issues may be resolved. But what do you think? If you want more updates on Prison Architect and other management or simulation games, remember to subscribe. Godspeed.